So picking up on that, in terms of you're scaling up across countries, you know, it's not, and across a country the size of India. And so to this quality of implementation, how do you know that you have quality of implementation and that there's not so much local adaptation on that the original idea is somewhat lost, and that it's adapted into this great, grand, innovative idea is lost and becomes something else. Maybe innovative, but not according to the vision that your organizations hold. So how do you know that you have quality implementations, and how do you know that when you're not only in your own country, but spanning into other countries as well? So, Martin, let's begin with you, and then Rita, and then Wendy.
Quality implementation has to be contrasted with impact. It doesn't really matter what the implementation is. Does it produce an employable Arab or Latin American youth? Does she enter the job market? That is quality of education. It doesn't matter if it took the professor 2 hours or 7 hours. It doesn't matter whether there are desks or no desks. At the end of the educational program, has the student, that young Palestinian adolescent girl or Brazilian adolescent, has she answered the question, is it worth it? And can I do it? Has she been empowered? And have we affected the curriculum, the pedagogy, and the evaluation so this person is useful to herself and to society? Too much the educational programs are evaluated as how many days of classes, how many hours of instruction, which I understand why those are important benchmarks.
But it's similar along the access route as opposed to quality.
At the end of the day, what are those students doing? And ministries of education are very reluctant. In my country, the Ministry of Education blames the fact that students come from poor households to the fact that students drop out of school. We challenge that. It says, no, that is a philosophical mistake. Students do not drop out of school because they come from poor households. Students drop out of school because schools are bad. And to have a mother pull her adolescent girl out of the school is that the cost-benefit relationship there is completely negative. And so this is what we have to see. What is the impact of the education? And as it was mentioned today, accountability.
You agree with that, Larita, in terms of how you measure quality of implementation?
Yeah, the accountability question is very important, and the learning guarantee, that what are the outcome goals of the children? What do they learn to achieve in standard 1, standard 2? And if this is done in terms of and this is how Pratham does through its ASAR program or randomized evaluations, and just to make it a little short, is that you need not have an innovative pedagogy. If teachers teach even what they have to teach, which is very clearly given, I think you meet with success. So I think quality can be is really part of accountability, and what the child learns, and whether the parents are happy that the child is learning in your school by coming to your school. So learning guarantee is a very important measure of accountability and also of quality.
Yeah. Wendy.
Well, these are early days of Teach for All. I mean, we just celebrated our 4th anniversary.
Congratulations.
But it is early days, so I don't want to claim victory yet. But it's interesting. We have what I think many would call a very loose network. 23 independent organizations that have partnership agreements with Teach for All, where they basically commit to aligning themselves to 5 unifying principles that we could all list in an inch, and yet if you went and saw any of these programs, I think you would feel that this is the big idea, like it's happening here. And I think that it's a product so far, again, knock on wood, but First of all, I do think that the work that we've done to ensure alignment through building deep understanding on the part of all of these partners and their constituents of the model and of the spirit behind the unifying principles and such has been one part of it. I think the culture of learning and mutual support that we've built across the network, the systems around data gathering, and so that we're tracking common indicators across the network, the kind of thought partnerships and supports and tools that we're providing to help people implement with quality, and the leadership development that we're providing to the staff and even in this case, teachers and alums through leveraging the power of a global network to bring folks together and advance thinking and provide moral support. I think it's all of those dimensions that in this case seem to be actually driving a high degree of alignment. In the end, of course, it's all about the outcomes, you know.
So we want to take some questions from the audience, but before we do that, I just want to press into one thing, and both Martin and Loretta, and you were nodding your head about accountability in terms of quality of implementation, you know, looking at the impacts of that, but everybody's nodding their head about accountability, and accountability can mean a lot of different things. And so I just want to press you, how does your organization view accountability, and you know, how do you hold the people you're working with accountable to accomplish the goals of your organizations at scale? So Wendy, why don't we come back to you and then go down the line?
Well, I mean, you know, we in both of these different contexts, I mean, have very clear priorities and clear measures of success, and all, you know, for our internal management systems and such. I mean, I think the ultimate judge is whether or not independent third-party evaluations show that the impact we're trying to achieve, and in this case, we're trying to achieve really specific immediate impacts for kids and really important long-term impacts as well. You know, does it happen? You know, and so we do across the Teach for All network, you know, these programs are ensuring that they are being evaluated, you know, in due course, both in terms of the immediate impact that teachers have and in terms of the long-term impact of their alumni on actual systems.
So Martin.
We are trying to develop a methodology by which we judge the directors, the principals of the school as if they were coaches of a sports team. So, do the athletes do well? Can they perform? In this case, in our model, since employability is our main objective, do graduates obtain placement? Do they go somewhere? And so this is what we challenge. And so once the objective is manifested, principals do respond when they know that they're going to be graded or evaluated on the outcome, not on the output of their.
And if they're not, are they traded? Are they fired?
Well, yes.
Contract not reviewed.
Exactly. Some contracts are not renewed because that is, it doesn't. As I repeat, it doesn't matter whether X number of hours were given. Is what happens to the student when she leaves. No?
Yeah. Loretta, you can talk about accountability.
Internally, what we do is we have something called the pre-test and the mid-test and the post-test for children's outcome. So the volunteers who teach them, they know where the children stood at the pre-test, and at the post-test if the children are doing well, not doing well. So that's one kind of a monitoring done, because the volunteers, then we can correct, some remedial action can be taken for the volunteers if something is going wrong. That's internally. We also have within the organization, we have evaluations done at different levels, so that once again accountability is done. We also have randomized evaluations. We pick up a sample in different states, and this is done almost every year. We also collaborate with other universities, both Indian universities and US universities, and we tell them to have this kind of an external evaluation. An external evaluation has become a part of Pratham. I think that it also gives us accountability. Externally, where we are working with the governments or we're working with the school systems, it's a little difficult to make them accountable to you because you are an external person. So what we do is that while we enter a contract with the schools, we talk to the management that this is that we will agree to this contract only if you are willing to do external evaluation. So there are periodic evaluations done at the school level and the government level. So I think accountability that it also accountability cannot be taught. One needs to also demonstrate it. So people in the organization, right from top to bottom, everybody is accountable, and there's much more of peer group accountability more than having accountability from top to bottom or from the superior to the subordinate. I think that has worked.
I want to thank you for coming, and thank you to the panelists.